It's October 15th, 2025. It's a lazy autumn evening. I am Nick, joined by Quinn. We're going to bring you the good vibes, the relaxing times, and the manga discussion today on Weekly Manga Recap.
We should be like one of those lo-fi channels on YouTube that just plays like autumnal lo-fi music of some variety. And the only reason it's autumnal is because they'll have some crappy AI generated picture of like leaves and stuff like that that you just get to watch while you listen to it.
Yeah, some cute anime girl who's like relaxing, has a book pulled out, and then occasionally, every now and then, you recognize that there's a finger coming directly out of her cheek, and it's like, well, that's not right.
Yeah, like hold on a moment, that shouldn't be. Yeah, I'm trying to really embrace the cozy vibes. I'm like wrapped up in a blanket. Some would say it's because it's gotten chilly out, and I'm being cheap, and I don't want to start like turning on all the heat in the house. But also, I'm just real comfy today. It's been a long day, but it's been a good day, Nick. And I'm ready to just kind of wrap up and just vibe.
Just vibe. What kind of vibe are you looking for today? Because I can potentially contribute to that and potentially take away from it.
Well, I guess it's going to depend on the series we discuss, because there's going to be some series like Ichi the Witch that I think are going to be like great, fun, adventurous vibes. And then there's going to be some series like Dandadan where I'm going to kind of frown and pout and
Right.
perhaps mean mug the camera a little bit. And those are going to be different vibes.
You were doing a little bit of that last week. I'm not going to lie.
I know who I am. I know
It
what
was
I'm
great.
about.
I mean, you were just being your true self, and that's fine. By the way, you were talking about how it's getting kind of chilly where you are. Do you want to guess how warm it is where I am right now?
If you say anything above 70, I'm going to be sad.
78 degrees right now. It's 8 p.m. and it's 78 degrees out, and it's not going to go anywhere close to being below 70 this entire goddamn week. Probably going to be a while for it. It actually resembles autumn. It was just feeling like it wasn't summer on one day when I went outside. I think today. So
Sounds awesome for you. It's not
not
horrendous. Well, I guess it depends on how much you like seasons.
autumn is like when it's actually autumn, it is perfect here. It gets to be perfect for like 3 weeks out of the entire year, and then it's too warm for most of it, and then it's like winter, but it's Florida winter, so it just feels like where it's chilly everywhere else.
That doesn't sound pleasant. I don't want to exchange for your weather or your geography or your political climate
Yeah.
or your exports or your
You
entertainment.
don't want oranges?
I don't want only oranges. Oranges seem to
We
have
also
a vice grip
we also
on
have
Florida.
strawberries.
I do like
Yeah.
strawberries.
Strawberries here are very good.
Yeah.
It has to do actually. It's a result of the weather here, because basically most of the strawberries in America are produced in California, but in Florida, because the weather is so messed up, we can engage in the cycle more quickly than everywhere else. So I learned about this in the one agriculture class that I took when I was going to UF. And it's one of the few bits of information that I have retained.
Oh my
in
gosh.
my time.
You had a real silver spoon moment. You learned all about like how to be a farmer and everything.
On the 1 week I was paying attention.
The other weeks they were just like, here's how to butcher a cow, and you're like, boring. Just started playing a Game Boy.
Yeah, it was essentially along those lines. That class I took was the easiest class that I ever took, but I was really upset about it because they were like we were judged on how much we could write week to week because we just threw our notebooks in a massive bin to make sure we had been taking notes over the entire session of the class. And there was a guest speaker every single week. And some speakers gave you way too much to learn, and some gave you way too little. So I would have had to have, like, stretched out in order to fill out an entire page. That's what the 1 week that I didn't get full credit for. And so I was really pissed off at that one speaker that 1 week.
Can't you just make up things at that point?
I probably should have.
Be like, he told us all about underwater basket weaving and its significance to the cultural landscape.
It was essentially the equivalent of an underwater basket weaving class because there was no quiz, there was no test or anything. It was just pure attendance and taking notes. It was a one-credit class. So
yeah, doesn't sound great. I don't know how to transition this, so we're going to talk about Ichi the Witch. One credit. Ichi means one. We're getting there.
Very good.
We're getting there.
Man, 15 years of doing this podcast about manga means we've learned a little bit of Japanese, Quinn. Isn't this great?
Just a smidgen. Un poco.
Oh, it's a weekly manga recap. Is going to start off the recap portion with Ichi the Witch, Chapter 54, Interloper. Last time we had learned that the Chrono Weaver magic has a pregnant wife, Minerva, who, they don't want to bother anyone. But there's a dangerous magic that is bothering them, and he comes to visit Chrono in this moment, and he's got a shish kebabbed eyeball with him. It's this kind of octopod-like humanoid who refers to himself as your bestest bud, Kizashi. And he's got a king whale eyeball. I didn't know that there was a king whale in this universe, but...
Well, not anymore, there's not.
Yeah. Only a prince whale now, I guess. And he says, like, hey, if we heat up this eyeball, it'll pop. It's lots of fun. I mean, I kind of appreciate the energy that he brings, which is just like, hey, it's me, your college buddy. Come on, let's get drunk and throw stuff at people like we always used to do. I'm literally married and I have a kid. Come on, let's go drinking.
Let's go out partying. He's like, I never partied though. This isn't like a return to old times for me. I never did this. I've always been this stuffy.
Making this up. He tries to get inside the ship so that they can, cook up this eyeball and make it explode. But the Chrono Weaver just kind of keeps on cutting him off, not letting him inside. And Kizashi gets very upset and says, like, come on, I thought we were best buds. You never let me in. And he's like, oh. And Chrono Weaver's like, man, you're really, really gabby. And he says, did you just call me your bud? No, you need to leave. So he acts like he's going to leave and then goes farewell, not, which means that they really are in a time loop, Quinn, because this guy has never left the 90s.
Whoa.
Still thinking that this is how you're supposed to talk to people by saying not at the end of an insincere sentence.
He could have thrown a psych in there as well.
Yeah.
And then, really... imagine if Chrono hit him with the talk to the hand afterwards. You're done. Socially, you're just dead at that point.
Absolutely. I guess that Kizashi's way of interacting with his best buddy is to launch an attack at him because he gathers this ball of water and energy in his hand, and he goes to attack the Chrono Weaver with it, and Chrono Weaver does his whole, time freeze thing and just tosses him off the boat. He, of course, springs back out totally unharmed. Very, very happy that this interaction has gone this way. He really likes, quote unquote, playing with Chrono this way, it seems. And he says that the Chrono Weaver magic is the only being on the entire sea who can survive his attacks. And that's why he likes Chrono. But he notes, like, yeah, we don't need any weaklings around here, especially humans, right, Chrono? And Chrono is just not saying anything back to him most times that he speaks. When he does, it's to go, that's wrong, leave.
Incorrect. Please don't speak to me again.
And this guy just refuses to pick up on the unspoken rejection at all. So eventually Chrono's just kind of like, you gotta go. But the eyeball! Let's pop the eyeball! No, you need to leave. You need to go. Kizashi turns as if to leave, but he stops and says, hey, is it true you made a baby with a human? that baby is sucking up all your power, which is making you weaker and weaker. And it's just kind of something I heard about. But that's fake, right? Someone's just making up shit about you, right? I'm your best friend, and so I'm just really concerned about you. So, that's why I want to check your house. Can I come in? Just to be sure. That's right. It's just a rumor, right? It's just a rumor, right? And he gathers a bunch of the water energy balls and summons a massive sphere to attack the entire ship. It's bigger than the ship itself. So the Chrono Weaver is forced to spring into action. He launches up towards the ball of energy and repels it, but it clearly does harm him. He doesn't like lose a limb or anything like that, but it looks like he gets kind of bruised by it. And Kizashi gets very, very, very upset about this. He starts ranting and raving. He says, "Why is this boat so important to you? Why did my attack actually hurt you? Are you actually getting weaker? No!" And he starts to literally sob and cry. And he's crying not just from his human eyes, but from the octopus eyes up on the sides of his head.
I like that touch.
And so he says, "If you're weaker, then that means we can't play, and then we won't be bestest buds anymore." It's very interesting that he has entirely made up the scenario in his own head. But
one has to wonder where he even got the scuttlebutt that, like, oh, you have a kid with somebody else, and the baby's draining your I'm like, did you come up with that, or is there just like some like lobster in the ocean that's just like, hey, you want to hear something?
I heard this. I heard this rumor about up on that ship. There's like some dolphins that pass by underneath the ship, and one of them just like, they were banging so much.
They must have been fucking. That ship was going wild.
So Kizashi gets the idea. Oh well, if this baby is draining Chrono's magic and making him weaker, and I'll just kill it. And he goes and he puts his hands on Chrono's shoulders like, "It's okay, buddy. I'll just kill it, and then you can be super powerful again. It'll be great. Don't worry. I know that you can't bring yourself to do it, so I'll just kill it for you." And then he gets stabbed in the shoulder because Ichi has been listening in from a hidden spot this whole time, and he immediately attacks with Inazuri and shocks Kizashi. And Ichi, if it's not obvious enough, is like, "All right, you just threatened to kill a baby. That triggers death for death. So I'm gonna hunt you now."
But when Jinka Shirone does it, she just gets slapped in the face.
Well, I think that he might have sensed like, oh, I think that she can handle this.
I'm just saying, double standards. We should be stabbing her in the knee as well.
I feel like if Ichi knew that Minerva could have handled this guy by just slapping him in the face, he would be like, "It's all right. This guy's not a threat."
Yeah, we're moving an interesting kind of quick pace here in this arc. There's a lot less sort of pieces, I guess, to establish than there was in the Bakugami sort of story. But I do like, oh gosh, I don't remember his name, so we're just gonna say Squid Magic guy. I do like that they're just like a friendly idiot, but they're homicidal as well. This almost like yandere energy kind of going on. And I do appreciate that they seem legitimately like bummed that Chrono doesn't want to be their friend and is getting like weaker. It just adds like a nice wrinkle into this character. I don't know if I'm like super hyped for this fight because I haven't really gotten a good idea of how strong this magic's supposed to be, but it's still an entertaining little start to the story.
Yeah, the main idea of how strong it is that we get is the scale of its attacks, the huge balls of energy, and also the fact that seemingly it is responsible for the ship graveyard that surrounds the ship that Chrono and Minerva are on. But I imagine that even though electric is super effective against water type Pokemon, this probably isn't going to be the end of the fight just here.
Well, this could be like Clobberpuss, where it looks like it's a squid, but it's actually just a fighting type.
That's true. Yeah.
Blue box, Nick. Blue box.
All right, so it's Blue Box chapter 215, featuring just kind of a chill color page of Taiki hanging out with his best buddy Kyo. Kyo.
Yo, just some boys being guys.
Yep. But it's not nearly so cool at the beginning of this chapter
Oh,
because, of course,
right, his mom
last
dying.
time. Well, that is a tremendous exaggeration, I think.
What do you mean, Nick? I read the first page and then I just imagined the rest of the manga after that.
So last time Taiki's mom collapsed, and that was the end of the chapter. And in this one, we pick up that scene right there, but then we cut ahead to her being in the hospital with Taiki and his dad by her side. And the doctor says that she has appendicitis, which is not that serious at all. If you get treatment for it, it's just that she was in a tremendous amount of pain, and she needs to rest and recover. They're going to keep her in the hospital for a week. So she apologizes that she's kind of leaving Taiki and his dad in this situation, but they're like, hey, it's all right, we'll handle it. But I mean, like, this is like a thing that is happening that is at a bad time for Taiki, because he wakes up getting ready to go to practice and his mom's not there, so doesn't have that meal ready to go for him. His dad comes running in and apologizes for oversleeping, and so he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I gotta go, I'll just eat the cafeteria lunch. And by the time that Taiki gets to the gym, everyone's there already. As a result, because he had to stay behind and do a little bit of work in the kitchen before he could go. Hina notices Taiki when he comes in and is like, hey, did you just get here? And Taiki says, it's a long story. Doesn't bring up what's going on in his situation. We get a little bit of a cut at Haruto, who happens to kind of come up right as the two of them are interacting, which just a little reminder of what's going on there.
And he's sweating, so he has been here practicing.
He's been training.
Yeah. Taiki is rolling in just now, but Haruto is studying the blade. That's why he can't have. That's why he can't have any women, Nick. No time for it.
While you were enjoying your life, I was studying the racket, and Taiki manages to win a practice match. We don't really see who the fuck he even beats, but it's 21-17, 21-13, so it's like straight sets, but like not a super dominant performance. So, okay. And he does, however, think to himself, like, okay, I just gotta, take this one match at a time. Like, my smashes don't have the power that they used to, so I gotta focus on my accuracy. And yeah, I've got stamina, but either way, I gotta be careful. And regionals are coming up days from this point. And meanwhile, Haruto is clearly dominating. He wins his practice match against oh gosh, I always forget this guy. Kodai, something like that. It's the guy that barely beat Taiki in the previous chapter, and Haruto beats him in straight sets pretty easily. And Taiki takes note of this, and it's just kind of like, clearly he's a little bit worried about it. Kudo. Thank you.
Kudo.
Chinatsu. We catch up with her a little bit with her neighbor Iozaki, the badminton senpai guy. And there's a good old boy hanging out outside the apartment, getting some pets in. And Iozaki is petting the cat, and Chinatsu's like, oh my god, it's a cute kitty. Cute kitty. And so then, however, the cat realizes that Chinatsu's got a bag of something and is like, that's mine. I'll just relieve you of that. There is food in the world that is not in my belly, and this is a problem that needs to be solved by me now. So just let me in there. And Chinatsu goes against the order of things by swiping it away instead. And it's like, no. This is deli food from work. It's my food. And the cat's like, "Mwah, mwah," which is cat for why? Why do you go against the natural order of things? There is food outside my tummy that must be in my tummy.
You have failed me, woman, for the last time.
I have not eaten in 3 minutes, and I am starving. But Chinatsu says that these are for her boyfriend. She wants to help out a little bit, but she says this out loud, and Izaki's like, "Oh yeah, you're an ex-boyfriend," and she's like, "Huh?" He's like, "Yeah, I play badminton, so I recognize that he also plays badminton." And he says, "It must be nice that the guy like has a girlfriend that will care enough about him to bring him meals and stuff. That's youth for you." And Chinatsu's like, "Oh, do you not have a girlfriend?" And he says, "Yeah, I can't really hold down a relationship because I always put badminton first. And whenever, like girls come on to me, yeah, we'll hang out for a little bit. But if it gets to a point where I have to choose between them and practice and games and stuff, and also the fact that I got to make money in order to buy equipment and everything, yeah, I kind of put all that ahead of them. And then I don't really like that." Fair enough. And he says, if a girl ever asks me to pick between her and Batman, I'm gonna choose Batman. It's not even a choice for me. And he says, however, like, yeah, I'm kind of like jealous of a youthful experience like yours.
Dude, you're like 22. Like, you're not.
Youthful experience.
You're not like 43. You're not like the springtime of youth. Like, if you showed up at school, nobody would be like, hold on a moment.
The cat freaks out and rushes into an alleyway, and so he's like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna get going. See ya. And Chinatsu watches him go and thinks to herself, he just said all that, but I could also tell he doesn't feel envious of my situation at all. So,
I wish
Mm-hmm.
most parties ended this way, by the way, that once I stopped getting like attention from the cat, I could just leave and just be like, all right, thank you guys. I'm going to have a good one. Enjoy the baby shower or whatever this was.
There's a gift exchange happening later. Nope,
I'm good. Is the cat going to be there?
Is my gift to be getting time with the cat? Because if not, then here you go.
I'll just head home then to my cat.
Chinatsu goes to visit the Inamata household, and her Taiki's dad is there to greet her and says, like, "Oh yeah, sorry that you had to come so late." And she says, "No, it's okay. Brought you guys food." She asks how Taiki's mother is doing, and then he says, like, "Hey, Taiki's in his room if you want to go see him." And so Chinatsu goes in, and Taiki has fallen asleep face down on his bed. He's got footage of a badminton match on his TV. He's got a notebook open that just says, "I want to win" on it. And he is just not even under the covers, just boom, fully face down in the pillow. So Chinatsu goes over to him and pets his hair, and she just says quietly to herself, "Hey, you've got this. I'm with you, and you can do it."
Very sweet.
And it's very nice. We cut from there to immediately Taiki waking up the next day, kind of sensing that Chinatsu had visited him, but just kind of like chalks up to like it was a dream. Tournament bracket comes out at Badminton Club. 16 players get to go to the professional tournament, which means that you need to be top 16 at the regional qualifiers. Haruto and Taiki do not have to face each other until the finals of this tournament bracket. But kyooo points out he's right here, and Taiki is right here. They are in a winner-go-home match. So Taiki's got to beat his buddy in order to go on. And kyooo is like not one of the top players in the club, but he is the captain. So if Taiki is off his game, there is a sense of danger to this.
Oh, definitely. And how like unmagnanimous of like a showing would it be if like Taiki's big like journey, like, hey, my last year, I'm going all the way. Like, actually got knocked out of the first round of like the prefecture.
Yeah, it's because it is totally possible when you've got a ladder tournament like this where any match could be just your last when it's under those conditions.
Yeah.
I do like, however, that I like also that we see Ayame's reaction to this because she actually is invested in the club at this point
She's
now.
like, "Oh no, my friend and my it's
Shut up.
complicated. Are going to be dealing with something." Yeah, I
All
like
right.
this. I'm excited to see these two friends play a match where the losers' Batman dreams are basically just done unless they get paired off into doubles with somebody.
Basically, yes. Yeah. And we'll see how Taiki handles everything because as if things weren't bad enough, yeah, he doesn't like have that support that he's had for his entire Batman career, basically, of his mom looking out for him. Fortunately, it's just a temporary thing, though.
Yeah. Very much
I
so.
appreciate that the stakes in that regard were established very solidly.
It was a whole page. I had to be like, oh, appendicitis. I thought it was going to be like, so you know you have red blood cells? Yours have turned into raptors, and they're eating you from the inside out. Like, oh, that seems bad.
How am I still talking to you right now?
They're not all raptors, but they will all eventually be raptors. Like, oh no.
Chainsaw Man, Chapter 217, Two Good People.
Brum, brum.
We get a vision from Asa's perspective as she and the young Denji were going through her mindscape and they came across Asa's mother. And while they were in the kind of set of narrow alleyways before, now they're at a riverbank. And they look over, and a young Asa is kneeling next to her father, who is missing a leg. There is a devil that is by the riverbank that is bleeding and dead because Asa's mother killed it with a rock. And Asa, present Asa, explains to Denji, "Yeah, we were at the riverbank on family outing, and this devil just burst out and attacked us, and it must have been kind of a weak one because my mom just killed it with a rock, but my dad lost his leg protecting us." So in the flashback set of this, Asa's mother says to her, "I'm going to put pressure on his leg. Go call the devil hunters." And she freezes up because she's in shock. But her mom insists, like, "Asa, come on, go." And so she runs off. And we see young Asa and going down the alleyway and tripping and falling and getting up, just like she always does. And present Asa comments to Denji, "I wonder why I forgot this until now." In the flashback, young Asa comes back with the devil hunters, but it's too late. Her dad is dead. And Asa's mother turns and looks over her shoulder, and Asa can tell that the rock that she had used to kill the devil is now got 2 blood splatters on it, and it's by her dad's head.
I mean, I understand it's the 90s, but this still feels like a lot of forensic evidence to leave behind.
When they're at home later that night, Asa can't sleep. She's sleeping in the same futon as her mother, who says to her, "You noticed that I killed Dad, didn't you? But listen, if he had only lost a leg, insurance payout would have been puny. It was bad enough he wasn't working. Life would have just been harder. But if he'd been killed by a devil, we'd get a big payout. You could even go to high school. Besides, he was cheating on me." Just throw that in there.
The Chainsaw Man universe is painful for a lot of reasons, but it truly is just one of those universes where, like, if it's even going to start to get miserable, someone's like, I'm just going to pile it all on. Hey, by the way.
I mean, she's saying that. We don't really know if that's the truth. But, Asa, freshly traumatized, just kind of stares off into space, and present Asa remarks to Denji, "Yeah, I don't actually know whether my mom was a bad person or not, but it is true that our life got better after my dad died, because he was drunk, and he sometimes got violent with us. And that day, when I ran through the alleys calling the devil hunters, I tripped and fell on purpose. I thought that if I took too long to call for help, then maybe my dad wouldn't survive. She turns to young Denji and says, "Do you think I'm a bad person?" And Denji thinks about this very briefly and then says, "Well, I killed my dad and made it look like a suicide, but I'm a good person." And they stare at each other for a little bit, and then they both start laughing, and their laughter morphs into Yoru laughing while she is fighting with Chainsaw Man and her head's been cut off.
Yeah, the decapitated laughing Yoru head is really the imagery that sells this entire chapter. This is a very good chapter, though. This is like the part of Chainsaw Man that I do enjoy is like the just grody bleakness of this world, and then juxtaposing it with just this obscenely bleak humor where, you know, Denji's like, "No, I mean, I killed my dad and made it look like a suicide, but I'm a good person." So obviously, it's like
he's so confident when he says that.
I love it. It's this is a Chainsaw Man I really enjoy, and
Yeah.
I'm glad we're getting more of it. It really does put into a context why Asa seems to have this, you know, mental condition of tripping every time something big, and it's like, oh, it's just guilt. You're still carrying guilt about your dad. Oh.
I am terrified that when we get to the end of this fight, Asa and Yoru are just going to be dead. It was like we're going to have all this stuff, you know, like reminding us like, oh, good character writing and stuff, making Asa seem like a very interesting, complex, flawed person. And then now she's gone. Fuck you. I'm terrified that's going to happen.
I think that is probably what's going to happen, but I'm going to enjoy it more than like Denji like walking into a room being like, "Am I too horny?" And then like someone will come in and like take off all their clothes, and then the room explodes, and everyone who was in it, it's not Denji, is dead. And I'm like, I can't anymore with this.
Good chapter, and let's go on with another good chapter, Quinn. Dun 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 dun.
Chapter 213, Okarune's Resolve. Last chapter, Nick. Okarune decided he was gonna nut up. So this chapter opens with him sternly, confidently walking away and realizing it's his turn to do something. And then he walks into the room and he sees Momo's kind of like talking to other people, and he's like, I should get going. Like, now's not a good time. Cut over to Kenta, who has just been informed about Momo being back, and says, "Oh, she's back in action? Well, then I must present myself from her. She must be absolutely dying to see me." And Momola says nothing, but just has the sweetest little expression on her face.
I support you. I support you in all of your
everything
delusions.
you're ever doing. I give you 100% support.
I will never discourage you from being who you are, even though somebody should.
Even though you really need some feedback. Rin's like, "I don't think that's a good idea," and explains like, "Hey, you know, Momo's like really confused and like doesn't really know what's going on right now, so I think you should just leave her be, and like with enough time her life should go back to normal, right?" And Kenta just says, "Well, I don't like it." And then he calls out his, I think, code name, and
it is
Naruto...
He's called himself this before.
Okay, yeah, he Naruto dashes out of the room, and Momola, I don't even know what this is a reference to, but she mimics something and just says away as well as she just gets up from the table to leave. And I do like that. I think
Amarugoto banana is a type of dessert, so she
Okay.
probably just names a dessert she likes and runs off to.
I just like that Rin is like, "Hey, you two, wait," and like, I don't know, Momola just has the energy of like a toddler you have to keep on a leash sometimes, because you're like, "Look, I just need to." She wanders, you know. I don't know where she's gonna go. This silly girl doesn't know how to not support people wherever she is. We see Okarune as he stalks Momo. There's not another way to say it.
Pretty much.
He just stalks her, and she's always with her friends, and she's always kind of laughing and doing something. So he never really speaks to her or anything like that. And has a moment where he finally just sits on a bench and just starts being insulting. He's like, "Hey, I'm a big idiot. Hey, I'm an idiot stalker. Hey, I'm a wuss." And he remembers how Momo greeted him after.
Well, greeted Ira.
Yes, greeted Ira and said, with the "Who are you?" And he thinks, "Oh, that broke my heart. If she were saying it right to me, like, I want to speak to her, but like if she's like that, then I won't be able to work up the courage. Wait, no, I decided I'm going to be the one to talk to her, so I got to do it." He spots Momo, like, kind of ducks down, realizes, like, I had another opportunity, I'm an idiot. I'm just going to go do it now, and watches Momo go down, like, a corridor. And he's like, okay, she's alone. I know I'm still being a stalker. All I have to do is talk to her like normal. And when he turns the hallway, Momo is waiting for him, staring, and says, "Hey, you've been tailing me everywhere. Like, if you got something to say, then just say it. What's going on?" And Okarun tries to deny by being like, "Oh, we're just both headed in the same direction." And Momo's like, "This is an emergency exit with a dead end.
There's nothing down here you could be going
There's
towards."
absolutely nothing." And Okarun's just like, I guess I just didn't get enough sleep and made a wrong turn. And she's like, "No, you definitely didn't." And there's one good joke as Okarun goes, "Oh, look, a space alien." And she doesn't know what that, like, she's not even into aliens at this point, but he just tries to book it and run. Momo immediately kind of grabs him and starts being a little rough with him in their, like, jokey comedy way, basically being like, "Hey, look at me, if you got something, spit it out." But she has a moment where she's like, "Oh, wait, sorry, I think I've been too far. Like, I had, like, your face in my hand, I was, like, scrunching it up, like, I think I was too hard. Did I make you cry?" And Okarun says, "No, I wasn't crying at all." And almost sort of explains that Gigi had alluded to the fact that her and Okarun were friends. And she's like, "Look, I'm sorry. I don't remember you or that girl in Class D, and I was rude to her. But here's the thing. I kind of felt something, like I was constantly aware of the door in the back of the classroom, and I kept wondering, why am I so focused on this feeling? Like, what was I looking for? And the instant I saw you, I felt a kind of relief. And I guess it's probably because we were friends. That's what I thought at the time. So if you have something you want to say to me, you can just say it." And Okarun thinks back to how Momo was the one who kind of opened up to him and got him to sort of interact and grow. And he says, "No, we weren't good friends at all. So you don't have to force it. There's no need for you to pay any attention to me. In order to become your good friend, I'll make the effort. So please don't come talk to me. This time, I'll be the one to come talk to you. So please don't forget me this time." And the chapter ends with Momo grabbing Okarun by the shoulders and saying, "Okay, look me straight in the eye." And then the joke is that he can't. He immediately looks away. That's the chapter.
This was adorable. Fuck. I really like this chapter. I think that it's very sweet. I know that it's frustrating, but I also think that it makes perfect sense for a normally very, very shy and awkward guy to be like, "We're going to go talk to her." But with having had no preparation for what's going to happen, that he struggles with it. It's very true to his character. But I think that the part of it that really clinches it for me is when she admits, like, she still felt that there was something missing when he wasn't around. So she hasn't forgotten everything. And we're gonna get something out of that.
I know.
It's okay, Quinn.
I know that, like, I'm wrapped up in a blanket right now, so it just looks like I'm cozy. But I need everyone to know I'm cozy and furious right now. Look, I get it's fine. I want them to not be here. I want this amnesia to be done. I don't like it. Go away.
Let them be happy together.
Let them just be cute. It's chapter 213. I've suffered enough. You were teasing this shit in chapter 1.
I mean, I've only been reading the series regularly for less than a year, so I'm cool. It's fine. All right, so Spy Family did not have a chapter this week. There's really just an advertisement for the new season of the anime, but it's Halloween themed. Isn't that nice?
It is interesting though, because it's labeled as chapter like 123 part .3. So like,
right.
I opened that chapter like 4 times, being like, I must have a glitch. There must be more to this chapter than, but no, yeah, it's just that.
Yor has a Grim Reaper costume. She just like me for real. So that we're gonna go straight from there because there's no chapter to discuss. Everyone's got cute costumes. It's fun. To Hima-Ten, chapter 62. What to do on Xmas? This Christmas propaganda has to stop, Quinn. We can't be preparing for Christmas in the beginning of October. This is ridiculous. Enough of this.
I did have a brief, heart palpitation as I entered Target the other day. And, like, one of the first things our Target has is, like, I don't know how else to describe it other than, like, the dog shit tchotchke section that's just themed seasonally. It's just like, I don't know, here's, like, $1 pumpkin that you can open up or whatever. And they had very clearly divided it in half for half Halloween, and then the other half was being loaded on for Christmas. And I was like, you can't do this to me yet. Halloween hasn't even happened.
You can't do that without even putting Nightmare Before Christmas stuff out. Come on. Oh my gosh, we got to get the Hono tax out of the way fast this time. Yeah. So, Missy. Sorry, Himeno.
You got to pay that Himeno tax. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, she is driving Mr. Yamori for some reason. So she's doing that, and she says, hey, you said that you wanted to ask me for love advice. Do you have any questions? And Yamori's like, oh, well, I don't know. I've never, needed to ask someone for this before. So she says, well, why not talk about Christmas? Because closing ceremony for the year is on the 24th, which is kind of weird, actually, to think that it's like, oh, these guys are in their second year of high school and we're ending the year at this point. So, okay, time is progressing in this series.
To some degree. But, I mean, they have at least another full semester, or another full year after this, so.
True. But Blue Box started off in Taiki's. I don't know. It was his first year. Never mind.
Yeah, it was his first year.
But they took a lot longer to get there. Anyhow, so Himeno says winter break is coming up. Do you have plans already or something? He's like, no. And then he's like, yeah, I've been really stressed out because of exams, but I guess next week is Christmas. So Himeno says, yeah, so using that as kind of a jumping off point, if you were going to ask one of them out on a date, who would it be? And she's like, yeah, these are your feelings and you got to sort them out. And so Iamori starts thinking over the 3 girls that he's involved with. And I really am kind of pissed off at this little image of him thinking about his love interest, because there's, the moment that Himari gave him a hug and how that made him feel at the end of their date, the really close conversation that he had with Honoka and how he felt about that while they were going over the middle school memories, and the time that Kana was in his room and took her shirt off. So
it's all these equally important moments: the hug, the confession, the time Kana took her top off.
Just not cool, dude. But he says that in this moment he would go on a date with Honoka if he could choose between any of them, which is not surprising. She is the girl that he has had the crush on for the longest. And also, he kind of rationalizes it by saying, we did also, we went to the comedy show together, we went to, summer tutoring together, but I haven't actually asked her to do anything with me, and because I've been keeping my distance from her, I ended up hurting her, so I want to, correct that. I want to be with her. And so Himeno's like, okay, great, so what you gonna do? It's too soon to be thinking about that, and she rightfully points out, you have had since middle school to decide what you were going to do in this regard. So Iomori finally starts thinking about it, and then he realizes, oh shit, I've got to work on Christmas. So we cut at that moment over to Himari, who in the meantime is thinking about like how she's going to sort out her feelings with Iomori. And she thinks, all right, my next big chance is going to be the fact that we have a cleaning session planned on Christmas. And she is really kind of frustrated as well because she has also let exams get in the way. So she's like, I couldn't plan for a day off in order to actually do this. I wanted to ask him out on another date. And no, I haven't even been able to do anything since fucking Labor Day. Which, yeah, that amount of time is forever for a high schooler. 3 months? Are you kidding me? Jesus.
I'd go crazy if that was like my schedule. Let alone for somebody who actually has a social life. I'm like, how often do I get to pet my cat? Oh, that's less than currently. I don't know if this is if I need money that bad.
She gets really frustrated while she is in her desk at school, and Iomori is like, "Are you okay?" But Iomori is just like, "God, what am I gonna do? If I work from home, I guess I could see him though." And then Hanoka comes over, and they got to do their class rep stuff. And Himari thinks to herself that the two of them seem closer than they did before. Himari goes to talk with Sumire, who is her main confidant at school at this point. And she says, hey, do you think that Iomori would come over for a cleaning session on Christmas? It's one of our usual cleaning days, but I don't know, like, what if he has to reschedule? What if he doesn't want to come over because he's got plans for Christmas and stuff? And Sumire is just thinking to herself, like, oh no, she's really worried about her crush. But she points out, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Iomori will still show up because he's really dedicated to, his job working for you. And Himari confides in her, like, yeah, I was hanging out with all my hot model friends and they were talking about their boyfriends and stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going here on Christmas and stuff. What are you doing for Christmas, Himari? And she's like, I've got work all day, but I might see my crush for a little bit.
That's cute, though. Everyone's like, "Aw, they want to know more," but she is lying.
Yeah. So Sumire tries to, pump her up, but Himari just thinks to herself, like, what if Iomori wants to ask Hanoka out on Christmas, though? What's Kana gonna do? Oh, and she's just really stressed
Probably
out.
Probably take her top off, it seems to be.
It seems like that. Iomori walking home, and of course, since he lives near Himeno, we got to pay another Himeno tax. As Kana, oh, actually, they're at school. Sorry, they're not at home. Kana is like grabbing Himeno and is like, any day but that one. And Kana's friends are standing nearby and they're like, yeah, she failed all of her exams. So because she had to take off a bunch of time for work. So she's got to take remedial classes. And Kana's like, remedial lessons are on the 25th. This sucks. And Himeno is going to actually be teaching for the remedial classes on the 25th and 26th. And so Kana's really, really upset because she had so many plans that she wanted to do. And Himeno's like, oh, well, what were you planning to do? And kind of gets embarrassed. It's like, I can't talk about it. So all these girls are into Iomori, and all of their lives are getting in the way. Himari meets up with Iomori for a cleaning session prior to Christmas, and so Iomori kind of like relays the whole situation that you heard about regarding Kana, and Himari thinks to herself, like, it's easy for Kana to ask him to do something because she's part of his life in a way that I'm not, because she's got the relationship with his siblings. Hanoka would definitely go if Iomori asked her out. And like, even if she had to work during Christmas, I'm sure that she could actually find someone to cover it. I don't have that option because I'm a girl boss CEO and I can't just like have someone cover for me. So she's privately stewing over that. Not even really touching her food, and Iomori asks about like, hey, what's bothering you? And she says, yeah, I was just thinking about how I've got to work the night of the 25th. And Iomori says, actually, I wanted to talk to you about Christmas. And she said, "Oh, did you like want to reschedule?" And we get a flashback to when Iomori was in the car with Himeno, and she said, like, "Hey, you mean like you could reschedule your shift if you wanted to just go out on Christmas with Anoka?" And but he said, "Yeah, it depends on the client though. And if my client is working that day, I want to be there to cook and to bring up the mood." And in the present, he says to Himari, "Hey, if you're working on Christmas, you don't mind if I come over to clean, will you?" And Himari is so happy that he broached this topic and gave her the answer that she wanted. Like she barely like manages to like to hold her expression together. And then she's like, "Oh, I can eat again," and is very happy. She's like, "Yes, you can come and clean for me. Obviously, yes." Of course, she's thinking to herself, like, "I did want Imor to be more than just my house cleaner, but this is the reason why I like him so much." Which is, it's sweet. Like, yeah, it's like, it's not just that, like, he likes her, it's that he's very dedicated and he's kind. So, it's nice.
I like that once she gets lifted up too, she's immediately like, "I can't wait to eat." She starts scarfing the food down. It's like, yeah, I've been there.
But Himari says, "Hey, you know, like it's Christmas, so spending it working would be a real bummer." And Himari's like, "I mean, I am going to be there for work." And she says, "Yeah, but like, well, we could do like a Christmas party." And Himari's like, "Don't you need to work that day?" And she says, "Yeah, I mean, like in between though, I'm free to do whatever else I want while I'm at home." And she gives him this kind of mischievous grin while saying that. And we end the chapter with a little shot of Maro chilling out on the couch. And I'm sure that he has probably vomited on that blanket at least once, but he's a little angel while he's not doing that. So, isn't that cute?
Yeah. Aww. I should go look and see what Professor Pietz is doing. I know it's just sleeping, but what if
He's
he
just sleeping.
what if he's doing like mathematics or something?
Looks up at you, the glasses immediately tip off of his face.
Where'd you get that patch with the elbow sewn on? It's like, dude, worry about it.
Nah.
I noticed him like pushing a bunch of papers that have a like thesis written on it in between the couch cushions. Like, don't, you saw nothing.
He's got all of his professorly tchotchkes and one by one. Get them off here.
Yeah, it's a fine chapter. I didn't really think too much on it, but I thought it was cute that, you know, Himari and Iomori are going to get a little scene together.
There's definitely a big setup chapter. We've got seeds being planted as to like what everyone's doing on Christmas, but it's and it's nice to have a little bit more focus on Himari. She is definitely the most interesting of the girls, honestly. Like there's a reason why she's going to be the one that Iomori ends up with. So, Quinn, let's talk about Ultra of the Flame, chapter 22, Demigod. Oter has transformed. He is seemingly fully possessed by the spirit of Filgia. He is a little gremlin boy with his skeleton like burning through his skin. He's got big old horns and stuff. Still got only one arm, but his stump is burning as a flame casting from it. So Doa has a brief moment of, "Oh, what the hell is that?" And then Oter is springing forward, claw extended, grabs him by the head and like throws him at the ground. And Dodo has to like catch himself as Oter comes in and his stump extends out into a burning skeletal fist, which he goes to punch Dodo with. Dodo does the same thing with his stump with ice. They clash. There's a huge burst of steam. And Kutane and Edipirko are like, "What in the hell is even going on?" And Scotty is the one who gives them an answer and says he's transformed into a demigod. Instead of merely borrowing power, he's fused his body with his spirit. Dodo summons a big old ice wave, which immediately Oter just bursts apart through, just dives straight into it and burns through it. Punches and leaves Dodo in the ground, and then a tail extends from his back and pierces through Dodo's neck and lifts him up while Oter is floating in the air. And then he kicks him to the side. So Kutain asks the obvious freaked out question of, is that actually Oter? And Kutain explains it's like lighting oneself on fire instead of lighting a torch to illuminate the darkness. At this rate, he's going to die. And Oter is mumbling to himself, and his mumbling gets a little bit louder for us to hear that he is muttering that he needs to protect everyone. And he's starting to waver a little bit, so even though he's like grinning manically, like his eyes are wavering and you can see the blood at the corner of his mouth. So Edo Pirko, who I remind everyone, got stabbed by icicles in the last chapter. I don't know if we ever actually saw anyone heal her, but she seems to have been healed because she's walking without trouble in this chapter. But she stalks forward, grabs Oter by the hand, and then pulls him into a hug and says, "Don't underestimate me, I'm going to be fine." And she explains that she used heroic vigor to prevent any critical damage, which, again, it looked like her guts should have been on the floor, but I guess heroic vigor, it's fine.
She used heroic vigor,
I used heroic vigor.
Yeah. Anytime Oter, like, when his arm comes back next chapter, just be like, heroic vigor.
Heroic vigor, it's fine. And she kind of like chastises him by saying, like, look, I trained way more than you have. That like I've trained enough to be able to withstand fire, but my fingers are really cold now. Warm them up for me. You said that your power was for helping people survive, right? You made a vow on Mead Mountain. You vowed to never let your fire burn out. And this brings Oter to his senses, and the fire washes off of his form, and he returns to normal. And he collapses into Pirko's arms. Scotty says to Filga, hey, burn his wounds. But Edo Pirko says, no, don't do that. That's a bad idea. We've got a magic healer in our party. We just got to get back to Hugin for that. Oter, use heroic vigor. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, use your heroic vigor, kid. You'll be just rub some heroic vigor on it and get back to work.
Walk off that missing arm. It'll be okay. Oter takes notice of Doa Doa, who is in really bad shape now. Bleeding everywhere, arm missing. And Scotty says that in exchange for casting the forbidden spell, it consumed him. But Doa Doa is not in dismay. He says, I got to see your true face before I died. You were smiling. That's your true face, hero. And Kutain steps forward at this time, helps to get Oter on his feet by putting his remaining arm around his shoulders and says, my friend still managed to protect everyone. And that's it. That's the chapter. Terrifying transformation, beat up the bad guy, and that's the end.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how to feel about Oter right now, but I think that was cool. I'm just not 100% invested in it. It feels very confusing. Like, I feel like these are all things the mangaka believes a manga should do, but it's not being executed particularly well. Like, I've heard people compare this to, like, the, Naruto and the Kurama kind of thing. Like, oh, I've lost control of it. And I'm like, I know, but this all kind of got introduced last chapter as well, where they were also like, oh, yeah, and Scotty, that's, or not Scotty, but Suitor, that's, that's a big important thing. All this sort of lore got dropped very quickly, and I'm in this weird state of, like, is this manga continuing? And if so, I don't know. Just not super invested, I guess.
It reminds me of the Skull Greymon transformation in Digimon, and how I feel about the progression in this chapter is kind of how I felt about the 2020 or 2021, I forget exactly when, Digimon series, where it was like, and now we're progressing here, and it's like, man, you're just like really, really concerned with just doing a new thing to sell toys. And so we got to do a new Digivolution like every single episode, even at times when it feels like maybe you should slow down a little bit so it feels like these things actually have impact and importance of any kind. Because it really feels like this did not hit as hard as it should have for being a thing where like, oh man, like doing this like burns out Odor's life force really, really quickly. He clearly is going into a berserker state where he's not thinking clearly because he's so concerned with protecting his friends that he's not thinking about his own well-being. It turns him to a creepy little demon form and stuff. And then it's just kind of like, yeah, it's over. It's fine. And it's all really kind of basic stuff in terms of how it's characterized and played out as well. There's really nothing that I see in this chapter that separates it from any bad transformation thing that happens in any other shonen manga. There's no unique qualities to it that I can see. So, kind of disappointing in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Nick, let's talk about a series that's definitely ending, though.
We've gotten confirmation. We've gotten confirmation fully that Ping-Pong Peril will soon be entering its final battle, which means that it's on pace to end probably in less than 20 chapters, which was a very strong possibility that we were very aware of from the very moment that we picked up the series and decided to cover it.
It's why we're going to be talking about someone Hertz after this, is because it was obvious that this probably wasn't sticking around.
Yeah. So we're going to keep on covering it until it's over, though, with Chapter 14, Hatred. And so last time, Tyra was in the crosswalk ping-pong peril match, and when he realized that his opponent, Hebizuka, could actually serve the ball from one block to another, he decided that he needed to cross the street while pedestrians were not crossing, and cars were. So he starts running across the street, and we get narration explaining that ping pong is often called the world's fastest sport because it's played at close range across only a 2.7 meter playing field, and players are smashing balls towards each other at speeds sometimes up to 130 kilometers per hour, reaching the opponent in only 0.1 seconds. So pros must possess superhuman reflexes, and therefore, dodging a moving car was a cinch to Tyra. He just easily cartwheeled over the first car that nearly hits him.
No issue. Not even a slight concern. To this kid, doing parkour is as natural as any other part of ping pong.
Absolutely. There's one thing that ping pong absolutely conditions you for, and it is dodging traffic. And we are told, like, yeah, obviously there's pressure in that, like, if you make a mistake, you're dead. But he's totally fine. And, like, a bus nearly hits Tyra, but he manages to just outpace it to the point that, like, he just kind of, like, bumps his foot on the bus.
I still feel like that would really hurt. Like, if my ankle or just even the bottom of my foot scuffed against, like, a bus going, let's say 30 miles an hour, conservatively, like, that's gonna do something.
A bus weighs a lot, so when it's at that speed, it hurts a lot, even if it just grazes you.
Now, thankfully, Tyra is well equipped with heroic vigor, so he does know if he just coats the bottom of his foot in heroic vigor, it's fine.
Heroic vigor. Hebizuka, of course, is absolutely stunned as Tyra manages to not only get across the street safely, but he catches up with the ball and knocks it off of someone else's head and scores a point off of it. And BlueSky breathes a sigh of relief while she is watching this. Tyra collapses and catches his breath, but we get the explanation that because he has the opportunity to get back to his peaceful life with his sister Momo right in front of him, that and anger kept Tyra going. He runs up to Hebizuka and grabs him by the collar, and he says, "You know what? Screw you. Your ability to compete while watching people, never letting a single thing slip by. I watched you play. I learned from you and mimicked you. You were what I dreamed of becoming. I remembered everything you taught me as I desperately fought my way through Ping-Pong Peril. I don't care if you hate me. You'll always be my number one." And he lets him go. And Hebizuka is taken a little bit aback by that, but he says, all right, fine, let's do this. Because they've still got a few rounds to finish up, and we get narration from Hebizuka's perspective, which is that after he encountered Taira, he started to do worse at ping pong. And he says, maybe that's just what I deserve, because I allowed his genius to charm me so much that I even thought about throwing away my career. And that's when I found out about Ping-Pong Peril. I decided to participate as if grasping for my last straw. And I managed to earn a lot of useless money, but that wasn't what I was after. What I really wanted was... And in the present, Taira scores another point as Hebizuka just kind of like stands still. He doesn't go after the ball. And Taira demands to know what's going on with him, and he says, I can't lie anymore. I wanted to be like you. And that's why I thought that facing off against you would be the perfect chance for me to overcome myself. I don't like you. I hate you. I want to win. And yet, I'm so incredibly happy. And I think he tears up, but his tears look very strange. They're very perfectly round, right at the edge of his eye. So he thanks Taira for, acknowledging him and actually kind of putting him on a pedestal like that. But he says that in that moment, the athlete in me died. And so therefore I lose. And Taira wants to know, like, are you seriously okay with this? And Hebizuka immediately proves away, just being like, oh man, what a relief. So much pressure is off of me now. He wipes his tears when he says, hey, thanks. I'm glad that you were my last opponent. And they have a little tearful, hands on the shoulders thing as, Taira is declared the winner. And Mutsuki comes down from her vantage point and is like, what is going on with these two? What are they doing? So Taira's the winner. Gets a shit ton of money as a result of that. He shares parting words with Hebizuka, who says, I'm going to go make a new life for myself, but you got to keep on fighting. And Taira is a little bit confused by that. And he's like, yep, okay.
I like that we didn't get enough time to develop what Ping-Pong Peril is. So there is just the idea that this dude just lost 995 million yen or something like that, and he's just like, whatever, I'll move on to the next thing.
Yep, fully lost. Yeah, $10 million basically. So, he's like, I'll just
what are you gonna do?
As Hebizuka walks off, he thinks to himself, geniuses grow so large that they devour everything without even realizing it. That's why they shine the brightest. And that's why you need to keep fighting. That's the duty you've been given. And Taira's a little bit bummed that, Coach Hebizuka's like, oh, he's not going to be in ping pong anymore. That kind of sucks, but all right. But Mutsuki grabs his attention and is like, hey, I don't know if this is really the time for you to just be basking in your victory. And she holds up his phone with his bank account on it. It's like, yeah, you got so much money now. And Taira's like, it doesn't feel real. But then he's like, all I gotta do is basically just win one more match, and then I'll have it. I'll have paid off the debt, and Momo and I will be free, and that's it. And
I love that he does also have the notion. He's like, wait, if it's only 1 million, I could just make that on my own. I don't even have to do ping pong anymore.
Yeah, $10,000 is not an insane amount to just have to earn for yourself, even when you're that young. So yeah, he is thinking maybe I don't have to bet anything for this. Yeah. Smart kid. Mutsuki says, I kind of thought that we would end up spending some more time together, but and then we get the flashback to just before this match happened, when they were, hanging out and going on a quote unquote date together, where she was like, if I could hang out all night, I'd dance till the sun came up. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's dance. And she rents out an entire club for the night, and they just have a little private dance party to celebrate Taira's victory together. And it's very sweet.
Yeah.
They're both dancing like dorks together. So Taira is like, oh man, it's all thanks to your help, Mutsuki. You're the best. And Mutsuki's like, what's going on to you? And Tyra's like, I don't know, but the water sure tastes good here. And she's like, that's not water.
The bubbly, alcoholic yellow water is pretty good. Interesting, they're serving it out of champagne glasses.
Yeah, very interesting that somebody somehow managed to spike his drink when they're the only two people there. But Tyra collapses, and at that moment, Mutsuki gets a call on their phone from the Ping-Pong Peril admins. And Tyra wakes up, looks around, and sees that he is strapped into a seat. And Mutsuki is right next to him in her own scenes, like, "Oh, you awake now, Tyra?" And he's like, "Weren't we just dancing?" He looks down like, What is this? This seatbelt's super tight," making no comment on the fact that they are clearly in spacesuits, by the way.
He's not concerned with that fact. That's like, whatever. Who cares, dude?
And over the radio, somebody says, "Ready for takeoff," and she's like, "All right." And Tyra's like, "What's going on? I'm so scared." And Mutsuki says, "Here we go. Time for your last ping-pong peril match."
I love that this series is like, well, if I have to go out, I am going out after we play ping pong in space once. Yeah, truly great end of the chapter moment of, hey, they're in a space shuttle about to take off. Super excited for that. A bummer that, yeah, the series is 100% ending, but I've appreciated every little moment we've gotten, so you know, whatever happens.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Quinn, you know, that it does kind of hurt to know that series is ending. And when someone hurts in the world, all you can do is read Someone Hurts. It's chapter 5.
I'm gonna go to the hospital. Every person who they're like, oh, this person's in like a lot of pain right now. I'm gonna be like, well, here's a manga about someone else in pain, and then they're like, that's the wrong Hertz, asshole. They throw it at me, and then I have to be in the hospital because the concussion I got from a manga volume thrown at my head.
Yeah, it turns out that if you have that particular very painful disease, it makes your throwing arm incredibly powerful. So, unfortunate side effect for you there. Yeah. Chapter number 5 of Someone Hurts, matching pair. Open up the chapter. Mizuho says, "Hey, Mime, let's go buy a radio." And Mime says, "Huh?" And she says, "Yeah, jump for a second." And so he's like, "Okay." And he jumps, and there's a cheek of the money in his pocket from their pay. And which it's kind of a joke because it's like she, you know, like shook him down, kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
So like, anyway, they got money from their job, and so Mizuho's like, "Yeah, well, if we want to listen to the show together, we might not be able to just like sneak out and listen to it together anymore. And we can't call each other while listening to the podcast on our phones, so let's meet at the station on Sunday together." And so Mime, of course, is in his own head like, "We're just going shopping, right? This doesn't mean anything. So he goes to meet up with Mizuho, and she shows up wearing a very cute big jacket for casual hangout time. And Mime thinks to himself, like, her vibe's different from usual. It's like, yes, she has her hair up. That is correct. So, she makes some jokes about, like, newscaster things, which...
I gotta give, like, shout out to David Evelyn, who is the translator for this series. I cannot imagine the exhaustion that has to come from being like, I guess I'm researching... hopefully not obscure local weathermen from whatever district these characters are in.
Fortunately, it's for Fuji TV, which is a big enough station, yeah. They go into the store, and so Mime just thinks to himself, like, you know, that actually feels really weird being with Mizuho on the weekend. And he's like, okay, I can't just, like, be awkwardly silent, though. I gotta, you know, talk to her. And so... but he says, you know, I guess it is actually kind of rare for people to even have actual radios, even if they're regular listeners to a radio show. But Mizuho brings up that if you want to participate in Listener Koshian, you should have one. And he's like, well, why is that? And she says, well, because you can send in entries during the week, but for the listener quotient, it's live. You send them into the program while they're live on air. And radio apps are great, but they always have some form of lag time from the actual broadcast. So for entries being sent live, you want to be fast on the uptake. 10 or so second difference because of the buffering could determine whether your entry gets used or not. So it is important to do that. She says the deciding factor can be paper thin, like that. A3 paper, paper thin. Okay. All right.
It's kind of funny.
They get to the section where the radios are. She recommends you're gonna need one that can actually like connect with your earphones because you're gonna be listening to it, at 3 a.m. when this very popular radio show is on. And then she also says like, hey, here, I'll give you some advice. And her advice is like, you get better results if you tuck in your knees before you land. It's like, that's just long-term advice. But I do appreciate like complete non sequiturs. Like, I'll give you some advice, and it's something entirely unrelated.
It's funny, yeah.
And she's like, keeps on doing it as well as like, here's a pole vault, advice. Here's shot put advice. It's like, why are you doing decathlon advice? They get this very like toy looking radio, honestly, huge dial on the thing. And Muse was like, oh, I'll buy the same one too. So now we have like matchy radios and stuff. And maybe it brings up like, wait, so when you participate in listener quotient, you mean you didn't have one of these radios? And she's like, no. Well, then how did you do it? Guts. I love her face when she says that, huge in the corner. Just guts. So they held up their radios, and Mizuho kind of observes like, we got another like matching pair of things because they're getting closer because as friends. And I love that she says this: our keychains match, our radios match, and we both know the secret behind the people of the D.
I mean, come on. She's referencing eye shields. She's referencing One Piece. Like,
this is the secret to someone Hertz's humor, is that yes, there's a lot of these things that are just like, look, I don't live in Japan, so I don't know this reference. But when it goes into just even the most shallow manga reference, I'm like, that's funny that she just randomly brings that up.
It's so funny she referenced Eye Shield 21. People don't usually do that.
Right. And it's one of those things where, of course, there's like just referential humor, but then there's on top of that, it's just that it's a complete non sequitur. So if you are in on it, it's like, what? There was nothing for her to spring off on in order to do that, but she did it anyway. Mime is like, all right, yeah, I'll walk you back home now that we've got our radios. And Mizuho says, actually, I'd like to do something first. Let's go make a detour. And they stop by, an area by a stream, and there's like, there's cute duckies swimming by. And then suddenly Mizuho pauses as Mime is walking, and he's like, oh, is everything okay? And she's like, I think my shoes might be chafing because I'm not actually used to wearing this pair. And Mime's like, oh, are you okay? Like, you should have told me. Like, why did you take this detour? Why'd you want to like walk even more then? And Mizuho just looks at him and says, like, because I wanted to talk to you more. Man.
It's a cute series. That's the thing. You come for the jokes, find out they're just okay.
They're not that great.
But moments like this is kind of cute. I like it.
Mime has bandages, so they stop, and Mizuho, bandages up her foot, and she's like, I'm okay now, with the most awkward pose you could possibly make as a human being. So they continue walking, and Mime does say to her, like, you're not like hiding anything else from me, right? Nope, not. They do part ways, go home. Gets to be Monday night, so it's time for the radio show again.
Tuesday morning, who really knows, Yeah.
Mime is a little bit more nervous than usual because this is another time that they're actually going to be like spending like listening to the show together. And so he gets a call from Mizuho. He asks how her foot is, and so they're like, all right, you set up on your radio? Yep. And they tune in to the show, and And Mime is like, oh man, there's like a lot of static on the actual broadcast. And Mizuho advises him, yeah, just kind of touch the radio. It'll fix the signal. And it comes through. And then, yep, show starts up. And they start listening to it. And as they're listening to it, Mime gets kind of embarrassed because like he can hear Mizuho. He doesn't want to laugh while they're listening to it because she'll hear his laugh. And so Mizuho comes in with this truly insane, weird laugh. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like she is a full One Piece character. And so Mime comes in like, yeah, no, it's very cute. So they get into listener one-liner time. God, these jokes suck. For this South Pole.
This setup sucks though too. Let's be very clear. This is a professional radio station. It's like, here's our wacky comedy contest entry. What would it be like if there was a Starbucks in the South Pole or whatever? And you're like, I don't know, dog.
I don't know.
There's not that much material there. Why is it like something topical? Like what is this fucking... We can't work a little blue? It's 3 a.m. Why are we, like, doing softballs?
Oh, man. So, as they're listening to it, Mizuho brings up, like, hey, how many did you send in this week? And Mime says, like, a clean 100. But they also hear that there is one that Nachi comes in, and her joke is that penguins would come in and work the counters and work for fish.
This is the part where
that is a characteristic of Antarctica, yes.
This is the part where I just don't understand Japanese comedy. Because I'm like, look, even if you're not, like, even if this joke isn't funny, I truly don't understand what's funny about this premise and, like, what you're expecting. It's not like someone's going to come in there with, like, oh, great one-liner you're going to build a special off of. Like, I feel like the best joke out of this is going to get, like, a light chuckle, like a... Huh.
Gets down to the last entry, and neither of the two of them have had one of theirs read. And then it's declared that listener Al in the Woods is getting his entry in, and so that's Mime. And the joke that he submitted is, here's your ice that used to be water, sir. Which, at least that's something. Like, but then, like, the ghosts, like, ruin it by talking about it, like, oh man, the water turned to ice. It's like, don't say it again. You just removed, like, any of the, like, the careful crafting of the wording of the joke by you saying that. Fuck you. It's bad. Doing yes and on a joke does not mean just saying it over again. God. Mizuho has a little bit of a moment to go, bummer. But Mime's like, oh, hey, like, I'm still not anywhere near you. But then he thanks her and says, hey, could I, like, start calling myself a joke artisan yet? And Mizuho goes, don't get cocky. Hangs up on him. So we just kind of, like, skip through it, and as Mizuho continues listening to the show, she reflects back on the conversation they had while they were walking, and Mime's question specifically, hey, you're not hiding anything else from me, right? She looks at the radio, and she thinks to herself, will he really end up surpassing me?
I know, it doesn't
on him too.
It doesn't seem like it, because his jokes aren't that good, but he does appear to be the main character of this manga, so I believe he will actually end up surpassing her in some way. I like this series. Like, don't get it twisted. It's just this radio show sucks. Like, I just keep waiting for, like, more details to come out. Be like, yeah, it's a 3 a.m. radio show. It's 4 hours long. It they don't tell jokes. It's 90% ads. Like what is, like, it doesn't seem enjoyable.
They just read Reddit comments all day.
Sadly, I know of a couple podcasts that do exclusively do that. So yeah, really channeling the worst kind of energy.
Yeah, I know of plenty of things where it's like, look, I got to have content. So they just like, all right, let's have a conversation about this Reddit post. I'm not saying having a conversation about Reddit posts, Quinn. I mean, reading Reddit comments. Oh. And that's it. Not having any of your own inputs. Just like reciting what the conversation threads in the post were.
They're like, and then Garage Squirrel 4473 said, actually, you have that wrong. Whoa, crazy. Anyways, let's see if anyone responds.
Anyway, this post had an edit in it, by the way, so this comment got deleted, so we don't actually know what their comment was. Apparently, they got banned for the comment, though, so it must have been bad. So...
Oh, that is actually a cute detail that Ninja is bringing up, that she had a second radio, so she bought one just to have an excuse to hang out with him.
Because she likes Mime already. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right.
Very cute.
That is the chapter Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi Kya.
Is that our thing for new Exorcist? Sorry, I had the wrong one open. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi. Kyooo! There we go.
Kyooo!
Oh, God, I opened the wrong one. Hang on. Can you begin this? Actually, I have
Yeah.
to open it.
Absolutely. This is chapter 64, the cross-paladed Goro Shishido. So we're at the Demon Lord's castle, and we get a big introduction of all the, people reacting like, oh, here he comes. It's really him, the cross-paladin Goro Shishido. And we see Goro Shishido in his full glory as he's being led, strapped to, the Hannibal Lecter, wheel. He has chains all over him. His hands are shackled. He's in an iron mask. He has iron weights on him. They are going to the nines to make sure that this guy cannot possibly escape his fate.
He's hungry. They haven't been feeding him, Quinn. Those cruel monsters.
Yes. It's noted that the guy with no eyes is like, that's weird. Why isn't he escaping? Shuten. And Shishido just says, all these demons are watching me. It's making me so nervous. Wait. This is exactly what my favorite idol has to do at all of her concerts. She really performs with all that confidence and energy in front of a crowd, just like this. She's so precious.
I have a question, Quinn.
Yes.
Is the idol's name my favorite idol?
It might as well be.
He never refers to her by name, which is insanely uncharacteristic for tremendous fans of idols.
And also just a weird storytelling device where you're like, is this dude just gonna keep, did you accidentally make this character more significant than she needs to be? And you're like, oh shit, I didn't think he'd have to reference his favorite idol 4 or 5 times this chapter, and I never made her name. Shishido is crying and all of this. The demons tried to insult him, and he's basically like, hey, just let me feel some feelings right now, guys. But hey, Nick, who should show up but the weird dude from the Wiki Ds from last chapter? It's Lord Gaga, the future great demon. Those are Lady Gaga lyrics. It was wild. I was listening to a new album, and I was like, yeah, she still does it. Every so often, she just throws a rah-rah in there every so often. It's just
she knows her audience.
Yeah, her raw audience. Sorry. It's Helze Gaga, the great demon Helzebub's son. Boom. We get a full introduction of them. And Kiyoshi and Sosuke immediately are like, oh, hey, that's the dude from Wiki D's. No wonder he had such a creepy aura. And Shooting are like, wait, you guys ran into this guy? With him here, this thing's gotten a lot more complicated. So Lord Gaga shows up and is like, hey, long time no see, Shishi, I missed ya. And Shishido says, my personal hell began the day you stole my treasure. Lord Gaga's like, what?
What you talking about?
He says, don't play dumb with me. I want it back. The autographed picture of me with my favorite idol. And Kiyoshi and Sosuke are like, what? Don't tell me he let himself get captured just to get this stupid photo. And Shuten is crying. It's like, I can't be Mr. Shishido. You got that photo stolen. I don't blame you, the poor guy. And
I do appreciate that anytime that Shishido says something that is truly absolutely insane, it cuts over to Shuten and or Tosaka to just goes like, oh, no wonder he was in such tight
This
space.
makes perfect sense. So Lord Gaga is like, oh, you mean this? And he pulls a photo out of his pocket. And Shishido's like, give me that back. But Lord Gaga's like, I mean, since it was your treasure, I couldn't help but covered it. But, looking closer, this chick isn't even that cute. And Shutin immediately is like, oh no. And Shishido, as the chains start to rattle, goes, that's okay. Who cares what you think? When I understand her appeal perfectly, and he basically flexes, and all of the restraints go shooting off of him. All of his power erupts, so everybody's feeling his force there. There's literally a bite taken out of one of his iron weights right now, as Shishido starts eating some of the restraints on him. And as he starts to chew up all this metal, he says, that said, my favorite idol is super cute, you moron. And he shoots a big metal ball at Gaga. He explains, I'm a pacifist. You slap my right cheek, I'll offer you my left. But if you hurt my favorite idol, and I won't leave you another cheek to turn. And we get the full...
I'm going to eat your ass.
Why that? Why that?
Also your face. Both cheeks.
Why did he say I'm gonna eat your ass so confidently though?
That's what he said. He's not gonna leave them another cheek to turn. So therefore, he eats their entire ass, Quinn. My logic is flawless, and you can't say it ain't.
Absolutely not. We do get our full introduction to Goro Shishido, who has a very big punk mohawk. He's wearing the suspenders and a tank top, and he has patches all over his jeans, including the anarchist symbol and I think a peace sign. I'm not sure what the other ones are.
It kind of does look like a kind of screwed up peace sign, yes.
Yeah. So Gaga is like, oh, wait, you're telling me you got caught just for the sake of this photo? It was all to lure me in? You're so cute. And Shishido's like, your sense of aesthetics is totally screwed up. I'm not cute. My favorite idol's the cute one. She doesn't have a name. She was born with that one. That's why we like her so much.
It was destiny. She was born my favorite idol, and so she had no choice but to become a great idol.
Gaga is
even the picture of her, she doesn't sign it with her name. It's just like a little cutesy symbol, so you don't even get any idea from that what her name is.
No, it's her name. It's the hamster she drew in the tutu or whatever. Yeah. That's why everyone just calls her your favorite idol, because it's too much interpretation about what her name actually is.
Her name is written exclusively in hieroglyphics, and no one knows what her name actually is.
Yeah, it's a big topic of controversy. So Gaga's like, all right, fine. Well, if you beat me, then you'll get back your precious photo. And Shishido's like, that's the plan from the start. And he starts eating the air. And then he fires it out in a giant, blast that shoots, Gaga across. And the, buildings have, their windows shatter. A bunch of characters' eardrums burst. And the same might have happened to Kiyoshi if Shutan hadn't, snapped his hands over Kiyoshi's ears before it would happen. But Shishido kind of collapses afterwards. Kind of falls to one knee, and he's like, ugh, that's what I get for going a week without food or drink. Now what? I'm seeing spots. And Gaga gets up. He's not done from all this. He actually wants more. He wants to see the limit of this. And then he gets a hamburger thrown in his face. And all of our demon hunting friends are just throwing all the Wiki D's food. Even Cook is throwing some food, so Shishido looks over, notices that it's his team. He wipes a tear from his eyes, and he begins just devouring all this food, and finishes a chapter in a 1.5-page spread where he blasts Lady Gaga, Lord Gaga, with this fiery breath as he asks, "How was the concert?" And his two subordinates, with kind of thumbs up and a smile, go, "It was the best." And we end the chapter with Shishido saying, "Glad to hear it," as he kind of does a cool punk guy move with his tongue out.
Yeah. So it's a very Kirby type of moveset that this guy has. He eats something and gets a blast that he can use from it, which is nifty.
Yes.
Very different from what we have seen most exorcists in Kiyoshi do thus far. So I like that he stands out, and I like that, he's a very weird guy. So, cool.
And he loves his favorite idol.
He loves his favorite idol. All right. New Exorcist, chapter 118. Countermeasure. We have a recap of things thus far, which, all right.
It's
Anyway,
necessary. How do I know where the story ever is? Every week it's like, what if I did something different? What if we just did something completely different?
I really feel as though not a lot has happened in the last couple of chapters to need this. Anyway, Natsuki is now on Gakuro's side as he's staring down Captain Suga. And Suga is, of course, really pissed off. He's like, I told you I'd kill you if you touched her. And Natsuki is, reminding Suga, like, you can't beat him. Victory is defined by us getting away, not by us defeating him. And so Gakuro says, okay! And she says, all right, there's a torii gate over there. It leads back to the Exorcist Bureau. We just need to go for that and get out of here. Suga is like, I will take the fact that you're ignoring me as a sign of your resolution. So now, demonstrate it. And he declares, Pa, Zanzo! And a bolt of fire or lightning or something comes streaking down from the heavens, nearly gets Gakuro, but Natsuki grabs him and kind of pulls him into her to get him out of the way. His face ends up going right in her boob, which Suga is immediately like, what the fuck? How dare you? How dare you? Whereas Gakuro, meanwhile, is, much more present in the state of like, holy shit, he just flicked his finger and this huge slash appeared. What the hell? And Natsuki explains that this is the Suga family's secret martial arts, which Quinn, I took 3 years of Taekwondo. At no point did I ever get to the stage of like, if you flick a finger, then a huge slash appears in the air. And I feel like I should have kept with it for like 1 more year in order to get to that part.
I'll be honest, Nick. I think I kept up with it maybe a year longer than that. And I also did not learn any of those. Now, we did a lot of kicking though with Taekwondo. So maybe like my toes can do that. I don't feel like they can, but maybe.
I mean, my toes can pick up stuff, so maybe it's just the next stage of that.
Yeah, or that we evolve from monkeys. It's one of the two.
I don't follow you in this case. Okay. But, he's like, you're correct, yes.
Monkeys grab things with their feet all the time. They'll like peel a banana with their feet.
Oh, I see. You're just saying that it's that the reason I can grab things. Okay.
I don't know. Taekwondo changed that as much as who we evolved from, but
yeah, I've seen some footage of like nature documentaries and stuff. I also haven't seen monkeys flick their fingers and a slash appears in the air. So
I didn't look at what Jane Goodall's autopsy was. I don't know the cause of death.
she didn't realize she was taking a battle stance.
It's like that heroic moment, the Jiraiya character has to go so that you can bring the next generation forward.
So Natsuki explains that yes, the Suga family controls all the military might among them, and their martial art is fueled by command energy, the 5 Goriku. But in the past millennium, only 2 have been able to use all 5. Captain Suga and the head of the Exorcist Bureau. Okay, sure. But Natsuki says that if you can acquire 1, then you will be stronger than 1,000 mounted soldiers. So, okay, another thing to throw on top of all the power scaling in this series.
Thank God Gakuro is definitely going to have to learn at least one of these techniques at some point. Or it'll never be brought up again. There's no middle ground.
No in between, no. So, anyway, that was a very long explanation, so Suga got close during all of it. He goes to flick his finger again, and so Gakuro's like, oh shit, how'd he get up here so fast? And he goes to swing his sword and goes right into Suga's ribs, but he doesn't even flinch. Like some sort of black shape appears under his jacket that seems to reinforce him against it. And Gakuro's like, oh my gosh, is this part of that martial art? And Suga grips Gakuro's sword in his fingers, and he goes, nice hollow weapon. Be ashamed if somebody farted on it, and snaps the sword off.
Nice sword for me to poop on. Snap. You're like, whoa.
He just snaps the end of the blade off, and Gakuro reacts in shock as Suga's like, yeah, we done now. And he holds his fingers up to, flick Gakuro right in the face. But then all of a sudden, a wild heel appears, and the woman attached to it as well. Jesus Christ, this woman's shoes.
I'm getting like actual anxiety. Like my feet hurt looking at those shoes.
She doesn't just have a high heel, she has a spike on the ball of the foot too.
Yeah, I was like, she had to make sure she got extra lift by putting her entire foot 2 feet, like 2 extra inches into the air.
So she says like, "Hey, how you doing?" And Suga has just enough of a moment to go, "Oh, it's Captain Shimaki," before she's gone, and she has just warped away with Natsuki and Gakuro in tow. She has like this like snake-like thing winding around them and is just racing towards the Torii gate. And she just says like, "Yeah, I'm here to help you out since like nobody's like offering you guys any help." And they arrive at the gate. And Gakuro's like, "What are you doing here?" And Captain Shimaki explains, "Well, when kids work hard, I want to help. And the other 99% is a thank you for the fact that you took out Suzuku. So thank you." Which I do kind of appreciate that someone finally brings that up.
Somebody in this stupid organization was like, "Hey, thanks for taking out one of the 5 elder gods that's like primed to destroy our world. That was pretty cool of you."
I'll do you a favor, to help you out since I think that this will help you to take out the others. It's logical character behavior for once, yeah. Suga comes tearing after them, but Shimaki's like, all right. Fancy trying to play tag with me? Bring it. And she slows down, and Suga goes like, "Wait, what the hell?" As she gets really close, and then it's just an after image. Wow, she went through the Torii gate, and it's totally fine. They got to safety. And also, she decimates the gate behind them so that Suga can't come through. And she says like, "All right, yeah, he's not going to be able to get to you for a bit. Other extras are going to keep on trying to get after you, but give it your best shot, finish up this task, and complete the test." And Gakura says, "Can you tell us how to beat Captain Suga?"
Why is that?
Why?
A question. Why do you need to accomplish that?
I have to win the fight. I'm the hero. I have to win the fight.
You did.
No, I have to fight. I have to win this fight specifically. I've decided, even though everyone told me it's okay if you just get away, I have to win because I don't know. I'm macho now, I guess. I
truly do not understand this boy's logic.
So Shimaki says, like, "Are you serious about this? You thinking, like, it doesn't count if you don't do this on your own? Like, I helped you because you beat Suzuku. Like, I'm just, like, paying you back. Does this mean, do you think that this doesn't mean that you accomplished this with your own skills?" And he says, No, that was your power, Captain Shimaki, and people would acknowledge me unless I use my own power to beat him." And Shimaki says, "All right, do you understand that you wouldn't be able to be saying this right now if I hadn't just saved you? You can't win if you go back." And Gakura says, "Of course not. That's why I want to lean on you more, no matter how shameless that is." "Oh, but you just said the people won't acknowledge you. It's not your own power that beats him." All right. So Shimaki's like, "Yeah, okay, if you really want to." And Gakura's like, "Oh, okay, good." And Shimaki says, "I will teach you a way to boost your chances of beating Dorio from 0.1% to 5%. You need to make a contract with the princess." And Gakura's like, "What?" And she says, well, she's got Hyo blood in her veins. That's why she's got her strange constitution where she never runs out of power, basically. So to use her power, you need to make a contract with her. And Natsuki's like, "Yeah, I've never done this with anyone before, but I have heard that, yeah, my recovery ability can be converted into phenomenal aggressiveness, I guess." So Shimaki says, "It's not as easy as making a contract with a spirit. The first step is you kiss." And she mimes kissing. "How could this be?" And Natsuki, understandably, is like, "Wait, that's the first step? What the fuck is steps 2 and 3? It's like, it's understandable that you would be a little bit worried about this if you're very, inexperienced and all this shit. So she goes like, "Hey, by the way, how many steps are there in this process?" And Shimaki, for some reason, counts off on her fingers, 5, 6, 7, 8, da, da, da. There's one step. It's the one step. You just gotta kiss. And so Natsuki's like, oh, okay, I guess if I just need to kiss him, then that's okay. And then she's like, I don't know though. Like, she just like, is she forcing me to do this for some reason? Then she, again, thinks like she always does, which is just like, he's thinking about the world in terms of her manga, but she imagines, the scene of like the hero that, she imagines Gakuro as kissing the protagonist of the story, and then it going forward to them having a baby. And she's like, kissing leads to baby. But she looks over at Gakuro and realizes, I know that he's actually just worried for me, but I made up my mind when we were buried under the rubble, as long as you don't give up on me on this trial, then I will help you. So she's very embarrassed, but she turns to Gakuro and she says, okay, go ahead. Series is stupid.
This is a very dumb series. It's weird because, like, you are correct when you mentioned earlier that it was weird we have to recap because, like, what's there to recap? We've been in the same situation. But I'm starting to understand why I felt like everything was changing. I'm like, because it does feel like the parameters for what we're actually trying to do does constantly shift. Wasn't it supposed to be before that he had to marry her to get her power? And now they're like, actually, you kiss instead? It just feels like there's a lot of constantly shifting conditions. And I'm starting to think Gakuro is not ever going to confess which girl he's actually romantically interested in.
No,
at the
just keep
festival.
on kicking that forward while adding more girls to the harem, obviously.
I want to see what number we can get to. I hope this series runs for another 300 chapters, and by the end of it, Gakuro has 49 girlfriends, and he has to care about all of them equally.
Don't get me wrong. This is a tremendous garbage fire that I warm myself by every single week. Like, I subsist off of this stupid bullshit. Like...
Oh my gosh. All right.
Please continue to be stupid.
All right. Well, in that case, we should go on to talk about a decent series. And Nick, Akane-banashi story 178,
Yes.
Purified by Straining.
Yeah, let's do that for ourselves as well. Right, we get to the end of the tale that Akane is telling about, people being very cheap. And so it's the ultimate lesson that someone is learning here in being frugal. So there's a ladder that leads up onto a tree, and the master of frugality says, like, okay, climb it. And he's like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I might, like, get hurt if I fall. And so he's like, all right, fine. I just wanted to, like, learn how to get rich. Jeez, I'm going. Okay, fine. Climbs up, makes it up onto the roof. And so he's then instructed to, like, all right, grab the branch over the ladder and hang from it. And as we are getting this, we get Master Shomei kind of intruding into the scene as we're getting this from his point of view, which I really like, that even as we see behind him, the scenery of the story is still there. It's all around him, not just in front of his eyes. So the man is left to hang from the branch as the ladder is taken away. And we get a narration from Shomei's perspective that the world of the story appears bright and crisp. This is a humorous kokebanashi made up of several anecdotes, and because the scenery changes rapidly, she's matching it with a pleasing patter that gets the most of the dialogue. To heighten the craft of a story is to purify by straining, to observe one's own self and hone one's skills. At times, it means abandoning one's own sense of self as an expressive, to be dedicated to the story instead, trimming out all impurities, leaving behind only the pure quality of the story. And he reflects on what Akane said at the beginning of all this when she had first shown up. I've become only Rakugo. And Shomei says to himself, true to her word. Akane is continuing to act out the story. She's even got, like, her arms over her head for the guy who's, holding on by the branch. And he lets go with one of his hands and is only holding on with one hand. And the master tells him, now release your pinky finger. And the guy's like, I just wanted to know how to be rich. Come on. And he says, just do it. Fine. He lifts his pinky up. Now release your ring finger. Now your middle finger. And now release your index finger. And the man's like, my index, I can't let go with that. It's the one thing I can't let go of. And the master says, then you've already got the right idea. And he makes a grip with his finger and says, never let go of this. That's the secret. And all at once, his face fades into Akane's face. Although I really love that you can see that she's making the exact same expression while saying that. And I like also that you can see people coming to a start, like, oh, right, this was a story. And they're seeing the stage again with Akane on it. And Akane seems completely at peace as she says, that was the story of Shiwaya. And she bows, and the crowd is stunned at first. Like she's bowing and nobody's applauding at first before thunderous applause breaks out.
Big 2-page spread of it.
Just everyone clapping for her. And we cut over to Hikaru and to Karashi. I love Karashi's reaction, which is, that sucks, man.
I wish they'd given him that full space instead of having an empty panel to his right, but otherwise it was pretty cool.
It's just such a great reaction of someone who's like, yeah, man, I fucking lost. God damn it. He knows.
This is the attitude I have whenever I play Nick in Mario Party. I'm like, this sucks, man. He's too good at this.
He just found another secret star.
This blows.
I want to defend myself by saying I won the most mini games almost every time we played. It was not just all luck.
It's not all luck.
Even though luck is like 60% of who wins Mario Party.
I fundamentally believe that in as much as you can be a good Mario player or Mario Party player, you are a good Mario Party player.
I also want to say we were playing specifically the version of Mario Party that I grew up playing, so I had that advantage. Shomei acknowledges the fact that like the people were so caught up in the feeling that Akane had created that they even forgot to applaud for a bit. That's how absorbed they were. And he remembers the promise that what Akane said, which is like, hey, if I can convince you I'm capable of performing like a craftsman. And Shomei kind of smiles to himself and he says, it seems you too have grasped the secret. And we see Akane coming off stage and she lets her hair down. And it's kind of nice to see her like that, where it's like, all right, I did it. It's all off me now because Jesus, the day that she has had leading up to this.
Yeah.
Hooray!
It's a very cool chapter. Very excellent story. It's weird to give credit to the story that, that's been told when I'm like, I guess proper credit goes to the people who made it, whatever, like 200 years ago, whenever, these stories started getting popularized. But the execution of the story is really good. The whole, like, that's what this is the most important thing did get, like, a good reaction out of me. And I enjoyed that quite a bit. And I don't know, yeah, as you said, like, it's nice that Akane got to finish, like, she came out looking like she just crawled out of a television screen. Like just like death itself. And then she had the most gentle performance possible. So very interesting. Be curious to see what her score is. I'll be interested to see if her score gets higher with Shomei than it does the other two judges. But we shall see. It did seem like the implication was that everyone was enjoying themselves, not just Shomei.
They were completely hypnotized by it.
Yeah. All right, Nick, we're going to wrap up with One Piece, chapter 1162, the God Valley Battle Royale. Hey, the Yamato cover story has come to an end as Yamato eats a snack, confident that he has helped make Wano once again a peaceful place so that Luffy does not have to worry about it.
Yep, and he ate a lot of food along the way.
I think the most consequential thing that happened from all this is just Ulti and Page One seem to actually be now working with the Wano Empire. So
Yeah,
you know,
we
there's
learned
that.
some things from it, obviously, but that seems to be the main thing that was actually of consequence that happened in all this. Is that if Yamato shows up again, then we'll probably see Page One and Ulti again.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Is that what Odin is?
Hmm?
I always thought Odin was some kind of noodle dish, but it's like a kebab almost. That's what Yamato was eating. Is I guess Odin.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
Interesting.
like daikon. So
Cool. Just learned something new. Okay, so we are still in. Well, I don't want to say the King Harold Loki Giants flashback
yeah, the
anymore.
Giants flashback, right?
We haven't seen them in like a month at this point. We are just firmly in the God Valley flashback, and there are so many moving pieces here, so I'm going to try to keep it somewhat together. But Roger is leading his pirates out, but everyone's commented about how, like, oh, Rayleigh got shaky, Rayleigh is shaky. Let's take out Raleigh and steal Shaky from them. But Shaky, like, kind of hits someone over the head and says, don't even think about it. If you get rough, you'll harm Shaky. So just switch targets to the treasure. Just take everything else that's not her, basically. There's a moment where Shaky tries to, or Rayleigh rather says, Shaky, there's something I need to say to you. And she just responds, don't say it. I already know. Cut over to Ivankov and Kuma, see that they find their devil fruits. Before Ivankov can eat his, Big Mom comes in and sort of snatches it away. But Kuma just devours his really quick, so he made sure that they got their devil fruit there. Cool beans. Cut over to a bunch of action, and Garp is talking to Sengoku at some point and is like, hey, did you know this was going on? And Sengoku just responds that there is one person who reported some rumors and then they mysteriously vanished from the Navy. So Garp's like, if I ain't awake and dreaming, then this is all real. And he is seemingly grappling with the reality of what was happening here. Cut over to the Rock's perspective as Rox is running away with his, I guess, wife. I don't remember if they are married, but the mother of his child
His
certainly,
lover.
yeah, hoisted over his shoulder as she calls, like, to let her down, basically. This isn't going to work, but we see that Figerland is coming after St. Garling, and all the people that have been caught, basically, have turned into these devil-like creatures, the same ones we've seen in the non-flashback version of One Piece that I think we read sometime in 2022, I think was when that plot line was going on.
I mean, we might have been deep into another flashback at the time, though. So.
Yeah, that is true. So it is noted that, yeah, you know, Rox is really strong. Garling's like, these wounds he inflicted will take longer to regenerate, but other members of the Ten Saints are just like, yes, but now we know he's a member of the Davy clan, so the Great One will be delighted if we take him out. Like, the game's ruined, but this is a stroke of luck. This is perfect. Eris, Rox's wife, says, hey, let me down. Do you really think you can hold these guys off one-handed? And he's like, look, anyone who gets caught with the Davy name, it's not just that you'll be killed. You will be put through agony that makes hell look like a lukewarm bath. And she's like, yeah, I know, dog. That's why, like, I'm okay with that. Like, I gotta, you know, even though I'm a pirate, I was accepted by the Davy clan, and they welcomed me, and I understand their fate, so let me down. If I was the kind of helpless woman who could only cling to you and couldn't protect a single child, then you wouldn't have fallen in love with me, would you have? Rox, at that point, she just, like, hurls herself off of Rox's shoulder, by the way, and kind of tuck and rolls. And he says, you can't be an idiot, but she responds, look, if it seems like they're going to get me, I'll kill Teach and then I'll kill myself. Like, I'm not going to let them do whatever they would do to us, but let's both find a way to survive this. And when we can, let's meet again in Lelugia, Nick. Ooh.
What's important about that?
That's the kingdom that was just destroyed recently.
Okay.
Remember the one that was, like, obliterated into the ground, if I remember it right?
So I don't think that they made it there then.
Well, I mean, they could have. This is they didn't because Rox dies here, and she's not around. So I don't think either of them make it there. But it might suggest that
Teach?
Blackbeard. I was trying to remember his name. Blackbeard might have had some connection to that place or something along those lines. Or at least it's more relevant. Or they're just name dropping a place. I don't know. Oda does a lot of weird things sometimes. We see Rox be very strong. He, slashes the sword and it cuts through a part of the island. So he's like, yeah, come in here and do your worst. As his wife takes her son and they flee. Big Mom, holding up the devil fruit she's just attained, says, it's the fish fruit. I'll give this one to Katakuri. This will be a major power-up for my future pirate crew. And Kaido slams her in the head. Yeah, hits her in the head with his iron club and then immediately just snatches the fruit out of midair. And Big Mom just curses his name as Kaido explodes quite literally with power at this. We see the two different figures who are both running, carrying children, talking about how they won't let this child die. It's the most important thing. Oh my god, there's so much. Cut over. The Roger pirates have found the treasure. They're very, very excited. But Garp is here. He is not just going to let these people get out of here. But what is justice on an island where everything is going crazy? It's a lot of things going on. There is bombardment going on. There's the world government. Ships are out nearby, but it is noted that, hey, the God Valley is unaffiliated with the government, so they're not going to be sending any help. Kuma is remembering how he wants to save as many people as possible. We cut over to Saint Saturn, who is receiving, I believe, a telepathic message from Imu, who's basically like, Saturn, is Rox dead? And he's like, I don't know. If anything, there's a danger that all the crazy crap going on right now, it might be the birth of something entirely new. Something's happening here right now. And we see in that moment the shadow of the dragon, the Kaido dragon form, basically. Kuma starts teleporting people away. Everybody's thanking them. They have managed to find hope in this truly hopeless situation, so thank you for that. But boom, big crazy effect. Everyone notices, like Rox, Garp, Rogers, all of them pick up that something just appeared here, something big. And, there's a moment of Rogers being like, no, we've got bigger fish to fry here, basically. Rox taunts like, how dare you use my family against me? If this is going to be my end, then of course I'll fight to kill. And Garling doesn't look so good. Hey, you know what? Rox isn't gonna fight this fight alone. Whitebeard and Kaido both show up, and basically Whitebeard's just like, yeah, you know what? I've been drinking on your tab this whole time. This is the least I can do. And Kaido's like, yeah, I just got this new form.
I'm a dragon now.
Yeah, I kind of want to fight. Let's see what happens. But they're both staring down a confusing Saint Saturn that looks a lot like Emu, and we see a collection of responses as Garp says, now I know I'm dreaming. What is up with this island? Roger says, what a grand days of adventures we live in. I still have so much to learn, which is a response I guess you can have to seeing this. And then Rock says, what is that you say? If I had to call it anything, that represents the world.
Ooh.
Very intimidating. So many things going on. Ugh.
I feel as if we have strayed from the path, Quinn. We've strayed from the path. I hope that Oda knows where all of the guideposts are, because I certainly don't, in order to lead us back.
We do know that Harold has to get involved here, because Rox dies on this island, and supposedly Harold killed Rox. At least that's my vague memory of everything that's supposed to be going on here.
So you think he's gonna come in from the top rope all of a sudden?
I think it would be kind of cool if he's like, and I sent like a tactical nuke at him from like another island. I was never there or something like that.
Or he somehow sneaks up on him, all, like 5-story building of him. He's just backstab.
Yeah, I assume he will get involved at some point. It is definitely like, okay, it's just, here's the God Valley flashback we said was going to happen. Or, I don't know, maybe we'll keep cutting back to it over and over again, because I feel like at some point we're going to be due for a Blackbeard flashback at some point. So, yeah.
Yeah. I can't really, like, at this stage even react in terms of plot meaning for stuff at this stage. I've gotten so checked out of this flashback as we've gotten further and further from what was allegedly the point of it to begin with. And I'm just kind of reacting to individual moments that we get. So there are little interesting things that happen in terms of the actual events that are happening and how they flow into each other. I really just don't care at this stage. I'm really, really ready for this flashback to either be done or go back to what we were supposedly setting up to begin with.
Yeah, I do really like the moment of Rock's Whitebeard and like Kaido all like standing side by side, a moment that only could be cool after all this time has happened and we've seen how cool Whitebeard and Kaido are. Like it's fun to see that. But I do also agree with you. This is a lot, and I feel like I'm going to need to read this arc again, like this flashback again some other time, just so I can actually like really process everything that's happening in a like chapter by chapter basis.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's going to do it, everybody. Let's say what our favorites were this week, Quinn.
Yeah, I think my favorite chapter this week is Chainsaw Man. I think I really enjoyed this week of Chainsaw Man. It was like a nice reminder of why I enjoy this series and when Fujimoto's like heaviest writing really does just kind of work for me.
I'm going to Akane-banashi again. I thought it was an incredibly effective climax to this arc, seemingly ending with Akane's triumph in a very satisfying way. I hope that she gets to take a nap after this. I feel like she needs it.
I hope that's the next chapter. Akane takes a nap.
And Akane takes a nap. But my MVP is going to be Asa from Chainsaw Man, and this big moment of introspection that she had, where she gives us a lot of insight into that clumsy girl that we've known all this time.
Yeah, and I think my MVP is going to be Shishido, who I really enjoyed him this week. He's got a cool design, I don't think a lot of other series are going to have such like punk-coded characters as one of their main heroes. So I did like that as a design choice.
And what did the audience say?
The audience picked Akane-banashi. They agreed with you, chapter of the week, and then character of the week. A lot of different votes, but it looks like Edo Pirco from, I wanted to say OnlyFans based off the acronym, but that is Odor of the Flame. Odor of the Flame, Edo Pirco, one chapter or character of the week.
People just voted for their favorite, content creator. Man, that's all.
Like, Mick, why are there so many votes for Mandy Rose this week? Did she do something in manga?
Guys, that's going to do it for Weekly Manga Recap. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next Wednesday with more on our usual time of around 7:30 Eastern. To know exactly when the show goes live, you can follow us on social media. On BlueSky, we are RolloT, Nick F Time, and Weekly Manga Recap. And also be sure to follow the WMAR Votes account so that you can add in your opinion on who your MVP and favorite series of the week are. You can also join in on discussions related to the podcast if you just join our Discord server. I'll also let you know when the stream goes live because we'll ping the chat. And you discuss the chapters as they come out. You can discuss the bonus podcasts that we have released recently, for one thing. As recently we put out a package of several of them available on the Patreon. And it's to help out Quinn to pay for some expenses this month. So anything that you can chip in that regard is very much appreciated, as is if you're able to be a regular supporter on the Patreon, as you get access to monthly stuff on there in the form of bonus podcasts. We are available on Podbean in audio formats, weeklymangarecap.podbean.com, also on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere you like to get your podcast feeds. It's basically available there. It Video versions are also up on youtube.com/weekly manga recap, and the video version has an opening sequence done by Milo Jack Stlitz and Winsleydale Cheddar. And occasionally we have title cards done by Steve Man, whose artwork you can check out by just searching for Steve Man art. You can find it in all sorts of fun places. I think that's going to do it for the show this week. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Bye, everybody. I wish I had a good joke to end on, but I don't.
Yeah. So, reference. There you go. That's our joke.
The kids love references.